Hello everyone, back tuning into today's first video. We're doing JMA Friday for today's first video. So as always on Friday, we're having your month ahead look ahead. Going to have a detailed look at the weather for the next 4 weeks with the JMA and CFS V2 models. So this will take us into the first half of October. So October is beginning to loom into view now in terms of the longer range month ahead 30-day updates. Of course, that takes into the final quarter of the year. So 2018 really is getting on now. So I'll bring you up to date with everything that's going on with the CFS V2 and JMA models in a moment. Just to say that today's second video coming up here on the homepage this afternoon, we'll be having a look at weather for the next week, 10 days. And we'll also see what's going on in the tropics as well, focusing, of course, on Hurricane Florence, which is now on the east coast of America. So more on that in today's second video. So we're going to start off by having a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the JMA model. These are broken down into weekly periods, and the first week period will take us from the 14th through to 21st. Of September. Looking at the pole view down first of all. So this is the North Pole of the Northern Hemisphere, just here mid latitudes of the Northern Hemisphere around there. Blue extrapolates to below average heights, which is low pressure. Yellow, orange and red extrapolating to above average heights, which is high pressure. So for the coming week, we've got this big area of below average heights in the middle of the Atlantic with above average heights across Europe into sort of central parts of Europe. That leaves us doing something like that with the flow and with the jet stream. So it is very unsettled to the north and west of the British Isles, and some of that does get into the north and the west. For the south and the southeast, we're close to this ridge, and that will keep things a lot drier as well. Also relatively warm because we're bringing the air up from a southwesterly to possibly southerly type direction. So quite warm, mainly dry in the southeast, most unsettled in the north and western part of the country. Week 2 takes us from the 21st through to the 28th of September, and it looks like this. So still got below average heights up to the north around Greenland and Iceland, with above average heights down to the south. That leaves us bringing the flow and the jet through rather like that. So not as warm that week. It's mainly dry though still for the south, with high pressure dominated to the south and most unsettled in the north again. We've lost that sort of southerly to southwesterly flow and replaced it with more of a general westerly. So temperatures probably close to average. Again, mainly dry though down in the south. Most unsettled conditions will be likely in the north. And when we go through to weeks 3 and 4, it takes us from the 28th of September through to the 12th of October. And it looks like it's turning more unsettled, really, this. We are taking that area of below average heights into the central part of the Atlantic. So generally shifting it southwards and moving it over to southeastern parts of Europe over there. So it looks like we're kind of breaking apart that ridge. And we've got the area of below average heights up to the north. Looks like the jet stream's dipping southwards, rather like that. So turning more unsettled, turning cooler, probably just descending into proper autumnal conditions there as we're going into the early part of October. And that's a 2-weekly anomaly, so it might be transitional. You might still get something like week 1, which would take us through the closing 2 or 3 days of September, and then the sort of opening 2 or 3 days of October. So that could still be mainly dry, and then you might get a very unsettled spell coming along for week 4 later on in October. So it's a little bit difficult to judge those 2-weekly anomalies, but overall for the 2 weeks it does look as though it's turning more unsettled and probably cooler as well with the JMA. Let's have a look at the tropical and mid-latitude view and see how the temperature and precipitation anomalies are shaping up with this. So again, British Isles is in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you are looking at it. A reminder of the week 1 500 millibar height anomaly takes us from the 21st, from the 14th to the 21st of September. Again, we have the below average heights in the Atlantic. We have the above average heights, which we've got to come over here for, in sort of central parts of Europe and southern Europe too. So it leaves us doing something like that with the flow and with the jet stream. Most of the settled conditions in the northwest, mainly dry in the south and southeast, and warm as well. The air is coming from a southerly to southwesterly direction. So temperature anomalies in the week ahead are coming out warmer than average. It is a warm week coming up, particularly so for England and Wales, generally a couple of degrees above average being suggested there. Very warm week coming up across most parts of Europe as well, with temperature anomalies there, 3 to 4 degrees above average for some areas. Precipitation wise, perhaps a little bit more unsettled than you might expect given the height anomaly with above average heights so close to the south and southeast. Most parts of the country are being forecast to have above average rainfall. I think that's a little bit over the top, really. I think it's right for the north and the west, but for England and Wales, I suspect there will continue to be a good deal of dry weather continue. So that's a little bit over top, I think, in terms of rainfall. Then we go through to week 2, taking us from the 21st through to 28th of September. The above average heights are to our south, and the below average heights, can't see the pole on this view, but we know the below average heights are up to the north. And that leaves us bring jet stream through rather like that. So it means that for the temperature anomaly in the week, in week 2, it is coming down. It's still a little bit above average, but it is lowering, and that's because we're losing a southerly influence to the air, and we're going into more of a westerly, which at the end of September is going to be near normal in terms of temperature anomaly. So close to average or a little bit above average with the temperatures through week 2. Precipitation still coming out a little bit above average. And again, I think for the south, that's probably a bit pessimistic, a bit over top. I would suspect with this pattern, southern parts of the country would still continue to have a reasonable amount of dry weather. Yes, for the north and west, you would expect it to be wetter than average there. But elsewhere, I think, again, that's probably just a bit over pessimistic. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, takes us from the 28th of September through to the 12th of October, with the below average heights then dipping down into the country really. We're moving the ridge out into the middle of the Atlantic. Looks like the jet stream's coming southwards as well. I would have thought this is likely to be a cooler and more unsettled couple of weeks. Albeit it might be transitional because this is a 2-weekly anomaly. Temperature anomalies are a little bit cooler than average for parts of Ireland. For the UK, probably still close to average, maybe a little bit above average. I suspect that will be turning cooler though compared to weeks 1 and 2. Precipitation wise, and I think I agree with this now, it's still coming out above average with precipitation. And I think for that period, it looks like the jet stream's coming southwards and we're losing the influence of the ridge. So for that period, I would suspect that probably does go a little bit wetter than average. So a lot of dry weather indicated for the south anyway through the rest of September. Fairly warm too, especially to start off. And then probably going more... probably going a little bit more unsettled and cooler for the start of October. I think that's how the JMA is shaping up. But what about the CFS V2? These again are 500 millibar heights. They're broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period will take us from the 14th to the 20th of September. And we've got good agreement between the two models here for week 1 because we've got these deep areas of below average heights to the northwest, but we've got above average heights to the south, and so that leaves us doing something like that with the flow and with the jet stream, and probably pulling up some quite warm air from the south at times as well. So the driest weather with that is going to be in the south and southeast. The wettest weather will be in the north and northwest, and temperatures generally quite a bit warmer than average. Then a change compared to the JMA for week 2. This is the 21st to the 27th of September. Just has a big area of above average heights setting up almost over top of the country, but below average heights out towards Greenland and Iceland. So all places would be turning mainly dry there. We'll be doing something like that with the flow and with the jet stream. So a lot of dry weather for the end of September. Probably very warm as well. Although, of course, by the end of September, you've got long nights coming along. So it might be that we start to get some mist and fog forming by night, which would have an impact on temperatures by day. So a lot of dry weather and pretty warm though, I think, for the end of September. Then we're through to week 3, taking us from the 28th of September to the 4th of October. Again, we have above average heights this time over and to the east and northeast of the country, with below average heights in the Atlantic. So a real high pressure fest again with the CFS today, doing something like that but flowing with the jet. I think that's very warm and dry really to end September to start October. You'll be bringing the wind up from a southerly direction with that, so maybe a little bit of an Indian summer there. A little bit of a early October heat wave, perhaps, with that one. And then finally we go through to week 4, which is the 5th through to the 10th of October. And we're moving the high pressure towards Scandinavia then. So we've got a Scandinavian high setting up. Low pressure is still out in the Atlantic and up towards Greenland. Now with this one, we're bringing in more of a direct east or northeasterly flow. In October, that's not going to be particularly warm. So that's cooling down, I would have thought, maybe quite significantly. Actually, if there's a bit of a northeasterly component to the wind. And of course, when you've got high pressure up there, especially through autumn, you've got to watch out for low pressure and the jet stream going underneath. And if it was to do that, we could start to see some quite wet weather moving into the south. There's no indication of that on that particular chart, but it would be something to watch out for if the high pressure properly set up over Scandinavia and you lost all of the above average heights down to the south. I mean, what's going on there? So yes, we do have high pressure in week 3 over Scandinavia centred, but it also connects down to a ridge to the south and to the southwest. So the only wind direction you can get with that is kind of like you could get southwesterlies, but you're most likely to get southerlies in that kind of pattern. But in week 4, we have lost all of that high pressure to the south. We just have the ridge over Scandinavia, which means it is possible that the jet stream and the low pressures from the Atlantic could start to undercut, and you could start to pull in some really quite chilly easterly winds there as you're going from the 5th through to the 11th of October. Temperature anomalies are coming out warmer than average through most parts of the UK in the week ahead. This is the 14th. 20th of September, warmer than average to the south, near normal really up in the north. And a very warm week as we go through into week 2. This one has a ridge centred over the top of the country, so 21st, 27th of September comes out again substantially warmer than average. These warmer than average conditions continue into week 3 as well. This is 28th of September to 4th of October. Much warmer than average as we end the month and move into the start of October. That'll be a very warm September, by the way. I'm not sure if it will be record breaking, but it would certainly be up there with some of the warmest Septembers that we've had on record, I think. If this comes off through these weeks. What am I doing there? So let's try and pull that back to where it should be and scroll down, and we see that week 4 is also coming out warmer than average. So the CFS is really off and running again with this idea of warmer than average temperature anomalies. This is a direct east or northeast wind, so I don't see any reason why it would be particularly warm, to be honest. In October, easterly winds are not going to be that warm coming from Eastern Europe. So it is a little bit cooler compared to weeks 2 and 3, but I think that's overdoing the temperature by week 4. Precipitation wise, so the north and west is coming out wetter than average in week ahead. It is near normal further south. Then we go through to week 2, and that's a much drier than average week through all parts of the country as that ridge builds across the country. Week 3 is close to average. I would have thought that is likely to be another drier than average week as well. And then week 4 rounds it all off close to average with the precipitation in week 4 from the 5th to the 11th of September. Looks a little bit drier than average perhaps, or hinting at a bit drier than average for the north. Maybe hints at being a bit wetter than average to the south of the country. So it's high pressure all the way really with for CFS V2 once we get this slightly more unsettled week out of the way for the north and west anyway. And big disagreements between these two models. They do both agree for week 1, but then they're diverging as early as week 2. We've been seeing this a lot within the longer range output recently. I think it's all down to the influence of those tropical storms and hurricanes. Again, we've been talking about this a lot in the videos lately. When we get these tropical storms and hurricanes, they add an extra layer of uncertainty. So I think that's why the models are diverging here as early as week 2. So it looks like the rest of September will have a lot of dry weather. I think the JMA and the CFS are both in agreement with that, although differing how dry. But I think a lot of anticyclonic influences continue through the rest of September, albeit it will be wet in the week ahead in the north and the northwest. But for the south and the southeast, a lot of dry weather, and those dry conditions probably extending across many parts of the country as well. Looks like it's going to be a pretty warm September also when we get to month's end. October looks very uncertain here between these two models. The JMA definitely indicating a more unsettled pattern setting up for October. The CFS wants to eventually get that ridge to Scandinavia, which will probably keep things quite dry, but would substantially cool things down as well. So I think for October, there are a lot of questions that we're going to have to answer over the next couple of weeks. But for the rest of September, I think the emphasis is probably on quite warm and dry conditions, and particularly so in the south. Right, so we'll be back later on with today's second video update. Come back for that then. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.